Why do I care so much about tips? Now, let's kind of like put it all out there. What are the ways we as drivers can make money on a trip? First way is the fare. And I think that's where we get pretty good at pretty quickly is a fare good or bad? And that's it's a time, miles, and a location kind of thing. And on top of the fare, there is the surge. Now, I don't see too many surges. I'm looking over at my iPad where I have Uber running and it's all gray clouds. There's no surge. And so, yeah, so surge is another way we can do it, but that's sporadic. But I think that's where we spend a lot of our time as drivers talking about the fare and the surge. We're looking at the upfront price if you're in that market. I think most of us are in the upfront market pricing markets and maybe not. But so we're going to see a dollar amount and a time to pick up and a miles to pick up and a time to drop off and a miles to drop off. And each one of us has our own calculation that we do in our head. For me, I tend to look at locations more than anything else. And then on top of it, we get a surge. And there are drivers out there. I'm pretty envious. I think they are surge hunters. Matt, I think of you a lot when it comes to this. You work in a location, or your house is in a location where you can just turn your car on and go get rides right there in your neighborhood, maybe. And I think that's pretty cool. Every now and then, once a week, there might be a ride in my village here in Cazenovia. And I could leave the app on all day and sit at my house and not get a ride. Ride. So I live in a remote rural area. And then the second part to the surge hunting is kind of what the rideshare guys, Sergio and Chris, talk about over, Show Me the Money Club, this idea of patience, not accepting bad trips and waiting for the surge to pop. And one of the reasons why I do that, and sometimes I don't, is that sometimes we don't have a lot of surges and I got to go out and I got to make money. I can't turn the app on, drive all the way into Syracuse or farther away and do nothing. I got to start making money. And so surge in the fare, there are two ways that we make money. The third way that we make money, not as much as we used to, but we still can a little bit, is through promotions and bonuses. The only bonus that I get right now through Uber is almost exclusively. I get $150 bonus for completing 200 rides every month with my Tesla, and an EV bonus. Now we don't have quests anymore. We don't have $2 pickups in this location or anything like that. You gotta make money on the fare, and if there's a surge, make money on the surge. And so, as you can see in my city, a lot of the times, if I'm going to drive in a 8, 10, 12-hour day, there might be 2 hours where there's a surge. So I've got to make sure I'm in those spots where the surge might happen, but there might be another 10 hours of where I'm driving and I just got to get the ride done. That's why I prioritize the fourth way to make money, which is tips, because that's kind of still in my control. And I don't have to count on Uber for that. I don't have to count on anything. I can basically do my best as a driver to see if I can earn a tip. Now, my numbers sometimes it depends. In a given week, on average, somewhere between 40 to 50% of my rides tip me. And I earn about somewhere between 15 to 25%, let's say 20% of my revenue, or 20% of the fare that I get paid, is shown in the tip. So if I make $1,000 in the fare, then I'll make $200 in tips. Now, $200 in tips over a period of a year, it's a lot of money, right? So I drive a lot. I'm a full-time driver. Now, that's why I focus on tips. Now, how do you focus on tips? That's maybe the bigger question. It's not why do I focus on it, because I think every single one of us can kind of make money as the best we can in all three of those areas. Make money by picking profitable trips, try to maximize surges when we can get them. If there's bonuses and they fit within our schedule and our ability to do them, let's max out those bonuses. But a tip is kind of like, hey, every ride is a tip opportunity, is the way I look at it. So how do I maximize my tips? And you've probably heard me talk about this a bunch, but I just want to reiterate it for those who maybe haven't heard it before. I think the first thing, and the thing that we all probably do a pretty good job of, is I have a clean car. I have a clean car. I clean my car religiously. The inside, the outside too, but mostly the inside. I clean my car a lot more during the winter on the outside because of the snow. If you've ever driven in bad snow weather places, the snow kind of gets in crevices and cracks of your car, and you just need to like get a high pressure hot water steam bath to get it all out of there. Gets all the salt off your car and stuff like that. But on the inside, I like to go at least once a day. And so I have a subscription to a place called the Delta Sonic, and I go out on the outside of the car wash, and then I go in to get the inside of the car done. They do like steaming of things, the cracks and stuff like that. They vacuum it all out. They wipe this stuff down, the windows, all that kind of stuff. And I think that whole car wash cycle every day takes somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour. And I time when I'm going to go there when there's not surges and stuff like that. So get your car cleaned. The second way you can get a tip would be to be a smooth professional driver. Yes, passengers want to get to and from places as quickly as possible. And there are ways to drive fast, smoothly. So not racing. I took an Uber not too long ago, and the driver was, ducking and weaving through traffic. You know, I was like kind of holding on a little bit, and it's a little too fast. It wasn't a very pleasant experience. I was trying not to hit my head on the window as he's hitting corners, and he's trying to make money, right? On the fare, he's trying to do it as fast as possible, because if he does a 10-minute trip in 9 minutes or 8 minutes, he's making money, right? And so I didn't blame him, but it wasn't the best. So a clean car, being a smooth driver, those two things. Um, and I think the third way that we all kind of think about is providing really excellent customer service. And what does customer service really mean? That means, loading bags and being a good listener, or if they have a restaurant in the area that you recommend, having that list ready to go. And I think all of us are pretty good about that. Where I found that I get the most tips from, though, is the trips that I pick and the trips that I don't take. Just like searching for surges, you can search for places that you think you can get a tip. So let me tell you what I've done. Here's the perfect trip for me where I maximize my tips. I try to take early morning rides, reservations, to the airport, comfort reservations, and from rural areas. The longer the trip, the better. So if they're out in the country and it's a 3 a.m. pickup to get to the airport by 4 o'clock in the morning for a 5 o'clock flight, they do an Uber Comfort and stuff like that. That's say it's like 99 out of 100. I'm going to get a tip on those rides. And so they're big fares. They're worried that you're even going to show up. See, if you're in cities like New York or Chicago or LA or wherever, there's a driver on every corner. But when you're kind of out in the country where I live, they order an Uber. It's still kind of like, does Uber even work? So when they see that a driver's been matched to them and they wait a day or two, and I show up at 3 o'clock in the morning at their house in a not brand new, my car's got 100,000 miles, but it looks brand new, a clean car, boom. You load the luggage. They feel so good about it. It's a easy way to get to. I'm surprised when I don't get a tip. Let's put it that way. And there are times I don't. But not all trips are going to be reservation airport comforts in the morning. I could probably only do one, maybe two of those a day. So where do the rest of the tips come from? I do two things that on top of that really matter. I think number one is I think the passenger ratings matter. Now, I'm not saying a 4.6 won't tip you and that 5 stars are going to tip you. But in statistics, we have this law called the law of large numbers. People also call it the law of averages. That's not a real term, but whatever. In statistics, it's just called the law of large numbers. The reality is that a passenger rating, a 5-star passenger, 4.9 something, whatever, they tend to be good people. They tend to be really nice. And not always, but sometimes they're almost always nice. And so that's nice people, kind people, considerate people tip. And let me give you a good example. Whereas a 4.7, a 4.6, a 4.5, you and me, we've rated them negatively for some reason. And it's your fellow driver telling you there's something wrong with that person. It does so if it's a great surge and it's a great ride where you need to go, take a 4.3. I take them all the time. But my expectation is when I pull up, it's kind of like there's gonna be a problem. Right? Why are you a 4.3? And when they're not, I kind of tell them, I'm like, why are you a 4.3? We might, and I get a tip out of them that way sometimes too. But a passenger rating, if they're 4.95, 4.98, 5-star, whatever, that means you and I have said these are really kind people. Now, we don't know if they're going to tip, but the people that tip tend to be considerate people. And the one reason why you and I might negatively rate somebody outside of them throwing up in a car or being rude or whatever is if they're late, right? They're late to the pickup. A late to the pickup person tends to not be inconsiderate, and an inconsiderate person doesn't tip. Now, I did a project last year where a whole week I did 144 rides, and I kind of statistically proved that those people tip, and maybe I'll do that again this year, something like that. And so, yeah, my best tip came from a 4.6 during that week, but majority of the people under a 4.8 did not tip me, whereas almost all the 4.95s and above tipped. So tipping really matters a lot from that thing. Now, the final thing, and this is the hardest thing. This is the hardest thing. The reason why I think I get tips is that I ask for 5 stars. I feel like I deserve 5 stars because I've worked for it. They didn't complain. Now, if I've screwed up, I don't ask for it. But because I've missed a turn or two every now and then, just brain dead for whatever reason. I don't ask for a review then. But if we've had an amazing experience, I've got them there safely on time. We had a good conversation, whatever it might be. And as we're kind of pulling up, I'll say something like, hey, those 5 stars really matter. And I would really appreciate it if you rated me. And don't forget, I think what happens is this. I think a lot of people just forget. Ultimately, if my biggest tipping thing is like people want to tip, but it's a secondary transaction. Think about the transaction. The transaction in their mind goes like this. I need to get from here to there. Oh, I need to order an Uber. I go in, I order an Uber. Oh, boom, 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 you paid. Done. And a lot of times they don't even look at their phone again. They just feel it vibrate. They might get a notification your driver's arrived. And that's it. Then they're going to go into TikTok or they're going to call their friend. They're not going to look at their phone or whatever it is. They may not go back into the Uber app for weeks. So it's hard for them to tip you. They don't remember. And just a subtle reminder. Now, I used to, I had a sign for a little while and I got rid of that. Occasionally I have my iPad is like not a game, but it's like a presentation of things. It's got some quiz material and stuff like that. I do that for nighttime rides and stuff like that. That helps a little bit too. It reminds them to go back in the app and tip or rate me. But the reason why I ask for that rating is because when they go back into the app to give that rating, the first thing they're going to say is, do you want to tip your driver? And if you've earned it, you've earned it. You get it. And sometimes there are people that will never tip us. They're just anti-tippers. And you know what? I wish they would tell me ahead of time. I don't think they have the guts to do that. I would respect a non-tipper if they got in the car and be like, hey, no matter how great service you're going to give me, you're not going to get a tip. All right. I would just turn my music the way I want it and just drive the way I want to drive. I would totally ignore them. So I would not give them the service that warrants a tip because they're not going to tip me. So whatever. Yeah, but that's why I think about tipping so much. It's like it gives me a little bit more control of a situation. I can't control what trips Uber is going to give me. I can't control whether there's going to be a surge or not. I'd wish I got more reservations, but sometimes I don't get a lot of reservations and whatever. There's a lot of things happening out there that's out of my control, but I can control my behavior. And so I get my car cleaned. I try to be a smooth driver. I try to get professional service. And I think you do the same thing. And then I just focus on accepting trips that I think are going to tip, like from a hotel to a restaurant. That's a tipping kind of ride. So when I'm seeing rides, I'm thinking about, will they tip me? Sorry, something came up. So, and then I take 5-star passengers as much as possible. I decline 4.3s if they're not really great rides or whatever. And then from there, I go ahead and ask for a rating. It's in my control. That it doesn't mean I'm guaranteed a tip. It just means I had the propensity to get more tips. I'm setting up every trip as a tip opportunity, and I'm treating it like I can earn a tip. That's it. And you know what? I bet you probably earn more tips than I do. So it's not a competition. I'm not saying I'm better at than anybody else. It's just what I do. Hey, I 3,000 3,500 subscribers, something like that on the channel, and maybe more, million views. I created this channel for you and for me. I want it to be like a water cooler, a chance for us to, yeah, talk about ways to make the most amount of money. That's great, and things like that. But you know what? I want you to be safe. I want you to be healthy and happy and enjoy this ride. Well, I want you to drive your way in 2025. So again, be safe, be healthy, and happy. Know that I'm cheering for you. Be well. Bye.